Upcoming episodes on the Flying Monkey podcast. Country music artist Grant Malloy Smith. 3-time Grammy Award winner Ricky Cage. Actor-musician, the one and only Chris Mulkey. Father's rights advocate Robert Garza. And new episodes of Parent Stories. Go to flyingmonkeypodcast.com and select your favorite social media site to join us. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Rumble. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Open Darkness and Stop the Abuse. You can find more information at www.hopeindarkness.me, a common sense solution to parental alienation. Let us help you get your kids back. And www.stoptheabuse.info. It's time for change. Together, we can stop the abuse. You're watching the Flying Monkey Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Flying Monkey Podcast. Today, our guest is Wendy McDonald, and she's an advocate for alienated children, parents, and grandparents. She's based out of Ontario, Canada, but she does help and advocate for people all around the world. What's the name of your advocacy group?
The group I run on Facebook I have several of them, but my main page is Alienated Parent and Grandparent Peer Support Group. With that one, we do peer support meetings every 2 weeks as well.
Before we really get into the thick of things about what we're going to talk about today, the name of our show is the Flying Monkey Podcast. And as of yet, nobody's figured it out until you were the first person to go, oh, I know what you're doing and what you're talking about. So for our audience and for everyone watching, why don't you give us the explanation about what a flying monkey is?
Well, it's a great name, first of all. Love it. For anybody who doesn't know what a flying monkey is, we refer to it as like the Wizard of Oz phase, but we're living the reality of it because it's one person stays in the background who's the alienating parent. They go around and spread all this vicious rumors and lies about you so that they have a team and they've built up a support system for themselves. And the flying monkeys are the ones that allow them to stay in the background while they do all the attacking on you. So it becomes a wide range of all these escalations and all these other people that become involved in it. And those are what are called the flying monkeys. Anybody that you are not directly involved with in a situation and they come after you and start attacking you, they are automatically a flying monkey.
That's it. You got it. You're the winner. We should get you a prize. You're the first one. Some people have asked me, what does it mean off the show? But no one is yet to go, hey, I know what that is. And so that was I just found that funny. That was really cool. So thanks for that explanation. And so I guess let's get into the thick of things here. So your group is the Alienated Parents and Grandparents group, and there's others we'll mention later on. So parental alienation is basically child abuse, and it doesn't just affect the child. It affects the parents and the grandparents and the extended family as well. But from your experience and perspective, why don't we talk about the mental health and the behavioral problems that affect the child that is being abused through parental alienation?
There is a world of mental health problems. And, the best way that I describe it is if we are creating hate in a child's mind, it leaves them vulnerable to not be able to feel empathy or sympathy or compassion for another human being. And that is when we are unleashing our baggage into the world, because if these children don't have any empathy or compassion, what's going to stop them from hurting another human? So it's like there is so many, and narcissistic personality disorder is at the top of the list. And those are the ones that do most of the alienation when they create hate in a child's mind. It severs those ties and it changes the genetic makeup of a child, of what the child was actually supposed to be like, how they were supposed to thrive, who they were supposed to become as adults. that part is all stunted and they become somebody else. From studies, our brain is not fully developed until we're 25 years old. And so when a child is going through these things, their brain is like a sponge. Everything gets absorbed, but nothing gets released. So they hold on to that and it's stuck into their brain. So then when they end up hating another parent, and if the problem is with narcissistics is they can throw anybody away, whether it's your child, whether it's a family member, whether it's their mother, they will throw anybody away. The concerning part is when a child messes up and screws up, are they going to throw that child away? They've created so much hate in a child against a parent that when they've isolated that child, they have nobody to go to. They have no support. They don't have a system of where they could go for backup. That's when we get into the drug issues, we get into homelessness, we get into a lot more mental health issues, and the stability with relationships decline, holding down a job declines, living a productive life declines. So there is so many mental health aspects that are so much associated with the dysfunction of a child who's been abused. And, speaking from a child who has been abused, it's a matter of if you physically abuse, these scars heal. Mentally and emotionally, it takes forever for these scars to heal. So the mental aspect makes it even worse because they hold it in and they're held in for life. They have no way of releasing it. So my best suggestion for anybody is to always be on guard. You may think that now you're in a happy, great relationship in a stable one, and it's not to scare anybody. It's just a matter of reality. But everybody did when before they started going through alienation. They thought, "Oh, the world was great, right? We're so much in love. We're having children. Nothing can touch us, right?" Then all of a sudden, here you are. You're in a situation that you're getting divorced. People don't co-parent together. They decide, "Oh, well, you know what? I want all the power and I want all the control. So I'm going to say whatever I can about you in order to make you lose your power and control." And then the child becomes more isolated, and the ties can sever very easily between the child and the parent. And a parent is very lucky if they even get that relationship back with their child, because it's going to do a whole lot of work, not only on the parent side, but on the child's side as well. And when a child has the narcissistic personality disorder, they're very defiant. It's like oppositional defiance disorder. They don't listen, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to work with you at all. So it's like it's all one-sided. It becomes a one-sided relationship, and you're lucky if you're able to ever draw that child back. And then the unfortunate part is if you are already alienated from your child before they have children of their own, then you're going to be an alienated grandparent as well. There's no doubt about it. And our motto is today's alienated parent is going to be tomorrow's alienated grandparent if we don't all work together and be able to do something to stop it now before generations get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it just seems the parents that do this, I mean, like you said, narcissistic, but I mean, also, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of labels you could put on them, but the main thing is that they're extremely insecure people, and they need to have total control in order to feel the power and feel good. And they control that child so much, they make the child suppress their feelings for the other parent. So, like you had mentioned earlier, that suppression, it's I feel, and what I've studied and learned is that the attachment is still there, but it's damaged, and it's controlled and manipulated by the alienating parent and their flying monkeys, and they keep the child away from the loving protective parent or grandparent, and they're trained to act this way, and the behavior is just. I think the behavior can be changed if you catch it early enough, but like you said, it just perpetuates through generations if it's not dealt with and caught. And it just seems that the system is allowing it to happen and maybe even partaking in causing it to happen as well. And it's a huge thing. I think the numbers I was reading, and it may be wrong. This is probably a low number, but 300 million families are suffering parental alienation worldwide right now.
I actually did some research earlier before coming on, and the research I've done is there's 10 million adults that are experiencing severe right now. And these are only statistics of what has been reported. So if you quadruple that, because it's four times that amount of what has not been reported, and then it's 9.6 children are living without their parents between the ages of 0 and 6 years.
Wow.
10.4% between 7 and 12 don't have their parents. 14% between 13 and 15 don't have their parents. 21.9 between 16 and 18 don't have their parents. So it shows a growing trend. The older the child gets, the more the numbers escalate, and those are the ones that lose contact with their parents. And
And
then,
those kids, just sorry to interrupt real quick though, but those kids, by this abuse that's being caused to them, it puts them, like you mentioned earlier, at every statistical risk that exists.
yes, absolutely. And just to further that a little bit, now these are the statistics between mothers and fathers. And we've got 6% of adults who say that they are estranged from their mothers. And we have 26% who say that they are estranged from their fathers. And 1 in 7 grandparents are estranged from their grandchildren. And this is a growing trend. And, I believe because I've done a lot of research on this, and I believe everybody has a path for them that's already laid out before they're even born. And it all depends. And if you go back into your history or into the alienating party's history, you will discover the trauma that's happened along the way. Because I totally believe that we can't fix the problem until we find the source of the problem. And that's the whole thing, is going back into your history and finding out, because we've done a lot of research. There's been a lot of studies on your birth order as well, right? And there's three phases of the birth order, which is the oldest child, the middle child, and the youngest child, right? If there's a family of three. The oldest child is usually classified as the golden child. The middle child is usually can go either way. And the third child is classified as the scapegoat child. And that's the one who has all the burden put on them to fix everything. So when you have these types of patterns and it's already laid out for you before you were even born, then you have to navigate it the way it is and the way that uh what you were born into. You can't just go and say that with a golden child and a scapegoat child, the scapegoat child's going to have the burden of everything. And when you look back into the history, you're going to see that there's a genetic pattern of trauma as well, right? And it's like what you were saying, that they're very insecure people. They're very insecure people for a reason, because they've had trauma happen to them and they've never been
Yeah.
able to deal with it either. So I
Also,
think
one
this is
thing,
kind of like an explosion.
yeah, well, it is, and it's worse than ever. But the thing is, if you look back through history from an evolutionary perspective, this never used to happen. I mean, we didn't allow this to happen. Families stayed together, tribes stayed together, people, extended family was there to take care of each other, and that's what, as humans, we're designed to have, and they've taken that away from us. So, we used to grow up with mom and dad, aunt and uncles, brothers and sisters, first cousins, second cousins, grandma, grandpa on both sides, all together or within the close vicinity. So there was always family to love and to care and to teach and to console and to take care of and to help. And so it helped us to thrive as humans. And that's, we would, if we had this before, we wouldn't be here today. And I think since I'm not, I can't give a correct date, but I probably the late 50s, early 60s is when the majority of this really started, with the divorcing and people starting to just think about being more selfish and me, and not, keeping their word and their promise and not working together as a team to have a family. And they've lost They've lost the focus on what it's about to have a child and the responsibility it is to create a child and create a family. And that's something that, we need to get back and keep intact, because it just basically hurts society, because then you got all these messed up people causing all these problems, and look at the chaos we're in today.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And coming from a big Catholic family, my parents were married for 46 years. They didn't believe in divorce.
Right,
So
that's right.
everything that happened in the house stayed in the house. We didn't go to family court for things like this, right?
That's right.
Because there was no divorce. We didn't need it. There was, but now it's everywhere. And the problem is that we don't only have our own spouses or ex-spouses to deal with. We have the system in general to deal with as well. Because they work against us, because a lot of them don't put the best interest of the child ahead of everything else, right? It's always about, oh, how much money can we make this month off of this child? It's not about what's in the best interest of the child, because anybody would know the best interest for a child is to be connected with both of his parents
And extended family. Yes,
and
exactly. You're so
extended
right.
family.
Because grandma and grandpa are important too, and so are aunts and uncles. So you're right on. But I think it's beyond what we want to accept and understand. The more people I interview and talk to, the more I investigate. I think the system, it seems more intentional, and it seems a lot more connected than we've been we're talking about. And I guess that's why we're doing this show. We want to talk about it. We want to raise the awareness, and we want to make a change and help people. And in doing so, we're going to help society as a whole. So, you know, but Wendy, it was really great talking with you today and having you on the show. We're going to probably have her back a bunch of times, because there's so many subjects and topics to cover, and she's pretty much seen it all. you know, she,
Pretty much. And thanks so much, Tommy, for having me on. It's great.
yeah. Well, Wendy, again, thank you so very much for coming on, and you have a good rest of your day, and we will definitely be talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Thanks for watching the Flying Monkey podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe to our social media sites on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, and Truth Social. You can also go straight to our webpage at www.flyingmonkeypodcast.com.